Hi everybody. Today we are getting ready to work on the second weekly spread for May, and as you may remember, I chose for this month kind of the peachy corally color that has some of the things in it, and flowers. So I kind of have a double plan. So while I was working on one of my mixed media technique tag videos, I came across these 8-petaled flowers that I had followed some YouTube video, cannot remember who. I think you can probably Google it and find many people, and you just fold the paper and cut, and you end up with these very beautiful flowers. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool? So what I have in my stash, along with my jelly prints, I have all these paper towels that I used to mop up, actually empty. I had spray bottles that I used some metallic paint, Martha Stewart's metallic paint, and I made sprays, but the sprayers, the nozzles were getting all clogged, so I sprayed it all out, and I have it in these napkins, and you can see the shimmer and shine, and we have kind of that peachy corally kind of look. So I'm thinking that we are going to use these to make the flowers. Now it's very, very simple, and you can use your jelly prints, colored papers, probably baby wipe if you wanted to. All you're going to do is you need to start with a square. Now I want smaller flowers, so I'm not going to start with a big square, but for practicing purposes you may want to start with a bigger one. Now with the paper towel, it's going to be somewhat thicker because you have more bulk there. So I just kind of fold it in half. It's not a perfect square. I'm not going to worry about that. If it matters to you, then you go ahead. So what we're going to do is so you fold it in half and turn the folded side to you. And I'm just going to zoom in. So the folded side is here. There, the folded, everything, this is all opened, and a third time. Now, what you need to do here is you need to cut a little bit on this side so that you end up with the lobes. The further down you go, the more that's going to be a deeper cut in there. So I'm just going to cut a little bit on the side, and I like kind of going straight. You can draw your pattern on if you want, and then down the other side. And then you have the fun of opening them up. And there is the flower. So I'm going to make a few of these different sizes, and I thought I would just matte medium them down here and there. So let's watch as I do another one. So we're going to make it square. I just want it a little smaller. Fold to you, fold it in half the second time, and fold it in half the third time, kind of holding, the pieces together. And this time I'm going to just maybe do a different pattern just to show you that whatever you cut, you get a different kind of flower. Well, that's very pretty. I like that. So I'm just going to continue making some till I feel like I have enough of these, and we'll be back. Okay, so I played around and I cut flowers and I came up with a flower that I really liked. So then I decided, okay, what I'm going to actually do, because it was just an idea. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. So once I found a flower that I liked, I just put the petal on there and I traced it onto the piece of paper towel that I had folded. And then I can cut, so that way I'm getting a similar flower and similar shape. So I decided that I was going to my regular, so I used one of the jelly prints that had that coral color in it. It also has green, so I'm not going to redo this. And then I thought I'm just going to put the row here. It's just going to separate these two. So it's going to hide a little bit of that green, but it's kind of like a stem going throughout. And then I just decided to layer some of these on, and I'm going to have a little bit of an embellishment that I'm going to glue on there. So I'm a little concerned about how wet this may get, but we will see. So I'm going to dry it fairly quickly. I also just took some stickers that I had that were that color and just put it on the bottom. There was a bunch of color there and I really didn't like what I saw. So if you don't like it, change it, right? Or work with it. Those are your choices. So I think I'm going to put the gel medium on the back of the paper as opposed to on the page, and I'm thinking that's going to make for less wetness on my page, which means less buckling, right? It handles a little bit of wetness. I just don't want to, I don't want to have waffly papers. So again, use my jelly prints and I cut this size. This divides up the top part. Again, if you're new, is for my daily to-dos. The underneath is my meal plan. And the 4 holes that I punch is my water tracking. Each hole is 2 glasses of water. I just find that I do better when I track. I don't always even come back and write it, but it's just an awareness of it. So let's just get these back in place that I blew all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I'm going to put a link to my mixed media technique tag number 3, where I show how to use various ways to show how to use paper towel to build texture into your art journal page or your mixed media piece. You may be able to see this when you see the close-ups, but the texture of the paper towel is still there, and it just adds just that little extra something that I'm really totally loving here. The gel medium, with me drying it quickly, did not warp
or buckle the pages, so I'm really happy to report that. You know, use a sparing hand and, you know, dry quickly, but you can definitely get away with it. I love being able to use these paper towels. I have a significant number of them in these colors, and they just add a little bit of whimsy to this page. You know, we're so bent on buying new stuff, and I think sometimes we need to go and look through our stash and what we have there and maybe look at it in different eyes. So I created this embellishment by taking one of the paper towel flowers and gluing it down, and then another one, and I just kind of shaped it with my finger, and I used one of those colored reinforcements for the center. It just seemed to go well. Now these other flowers seem to be lacking some definition, and so I'm going to use my archival, I think it's plum, and stamp this star stamp in the middle. And you just saw me test it out on a piece of scrap paper just to see that it's giving the effect that I like. And I really like that. It works well. And again, we're repurposing a stamp for other purposes. So this is the number stamp that I'm going to put here for my to-do lists, but I found this little kind of banner stamp in one of my stamp sets, and I figured it would be just perfect for, you know, for labeling or for this purpose. So instead of using the usual stamps to put the to-do and the create list, I'm just going to write it inside of this banner, and I'm just using a yellow and I think fired brick with the distress ink to stamp those things in. And that together, that kind of makes the color that goes with the page. Now I could be done here. I typed the quote, "If you get, give. If you learn, teach." And I think that really frames what I think about YouTube. I learned a lot about mixed media and art journaling on YouTube, and my doing videos is just my way of giving back. So I had the ATC, and the other side I had completely, it was done. It was leftover paint that was mopped up, and then I doodled on it, and it's been waiting in my stash for almost a year and a half. These trees, I did an art journal page probably last fall, and I had a few extra trees, and I just happened to come up with them again. And I'm kind of undecided whether I'm going to stencil the flower on or use the tree. I really like the tree because it has that perfect coral color and the brown that's on the other side. So it just looks like it was just meant to be. So there you see me applying one of my Just Sayings stickers, and that's Mixed Media Technique Tag number 15. And I'll put a link to that on how to make your own word or phrase stickers that you can use quickly and easily on ATCs or tags or in your planner. So this is, I think it's a Montana brand, but it was an empty marker, and I put the Liquitex ink white in it. Finally, I've had it for about a year before I just put the ink in it, and I'm just adding some dots around this. Now, because it's paper towel, it kind of is absorbent, so you have to be aware that if you use paper towel on an ATC or an embellishment, it's going to take liquid differently, even with having put gel medium on it. Now, if you don't have a paint pen, you can use a Uniball Signo White, a gel pen, or you can use a stylus like I showed you and dab it into white acrylic paint. This is just adding a little bit of whimsy to it. I will admit I'm not done with the flowers. There's more going to happen to them, and I get a little bit carried away. I wish I had left it at this stage, but sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And this time I definitely learned. So I'm tying in, I'm putting the white, same kind of little bit of detailing on the ATC as that I have on the embellishments on the page. So here's the ATC that I, that's been sitting in my stash incomplete for a long time. And I'm just edging it with a little bit of brown paint to even it out. And I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm going to put a flower and stick with the flower theme. And so I'm looking at things that are on my desk because little pieces, odds and ends, tend to accumulate there. I had this feather, I had butterflies, I had the dragonfly, and then I had a couple of the crazy cats, Tim Holtz crazy cats. And I cut one of them out. And I said, okay, I'm going to put that on. And my idea was to just color the ears and the nose so it ties in with the background and the page and keep the cat white. And I really like that look. And I might do an ATC or an art journal page and leave it like that because now I know that it works. But I wanted to add a little bit of brown and a little bit of shading in here. And when I tried to activate it, just that little bit, it kind of smudged a little bit. And then either I had to restamp it and cut it out again or just turn the cat brown. And so I chose to turn the cat brown. And it looks okay too. But I really like the starkness of the white. So I'm using a couple colors of brown with my Inktense pencils. Any of the products that I'm using in here, I will put in the description box links to those products if you're looking for them. And here I'm using another one of those Just Saying stickers. And just FYI, there is a blog about how I use the stickers, downloading free fonts and the like. And there is actually a page of these sayings that you can download from my blog. So again, my blog, the link to my blog is in the description box. I think using the planner, if you're new to mixed media, I think doing mixed media in the planner is almost a nice way to get into more mixed media and art journaling. On the scale, it's a tinier scale, so it's not as threatening. There's some repetition. You can practice your skills of outlining. It just works. And, you can practice with color schemes. You're making, the way I'm doing it, excuse me, you're making ATCs every time. So, again, they're quick and they're easy and it just gets you creating. And I think if you create something every day or every week, you're going to build skills and confidence. So I decide that I want to, I don't know what happened to my voice, excuse me. I decide that I want to outline this, and I'm using my Inktense pencil, and I'm using the Shiraz color. And now looking back and seeing it without the outlining, I kind of wish I had left it alone. It got a little too outliney. I don't know if that's a word, but I know it's not a word, but it just didn't give the shading the way I wanted it. And I think that's because it's paper towel and it just doesn't absorb. So it looks like more of a solid line than what I would have liked. But it's a weak spread. So there is my whole spread. And I have tons of extra flowers that I cut from some jelly prints and some other shapes of flowers that are going into my stash that'll show up at some other time. I'm taking the ATC that from last week and adding it to my little book here. These are, this is a disc system from Staples, the arc system, and I just punch it with the arc punch. I did, after I decided that I was done, I decided that I wanted to splatter, and I used some Martha Stewart pearlized paint, and I splattered on those pages. You know, I'm using my planner now. I'm landscaping a brand new yard, and so I've got the plants there, and I was taking some jot notes. Again, my planner is to put this is where all my ideas and things that are going on in my life work. Oh, and here I thought I did that off camera. Way too much paint. So I'm just wetting it down, and then with a fan brush, I'm just splattering it. Now, do you have to, if you were duplicating this page, do you have to do all the steps? No, pick the ones you like and do that. The new thing in this video is using jelly prints and paper towel and color-filled papers to create these embellishments, creating your own embellishments. And those are embellishments that you can use on tags on your art journal pages as well, because you can change the scale of them. You know, the sky's the limit. I have some ATCs that I cut up from packaging, and the one side is black. So I decided to see, well, how is that metallic going to look on the black? So these, of course, are now going into my stash. So you see why I have a stash. I've used lots of things that have been in my stash for over a year, and in the same time, I've added things to the stash that are going to be able to be used at another time. Just colored one of the cats, and I'm sorry for the glare. I'm really struggling with the lighting in my studio. Here are some close-ups of the finished spread with my flower coral theme. Hopefully you get some ideas, and you can take this and use different color combinations and do different things with the embellishments. You can use these ideas in your planner, or you can use them from the ATC and the embellishments in, I love that, in your art journal pages or mixed media pieces. Happy with my choice here too. I'm going to remake this one in white. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week for another Happy Planner Meets Mixed Media video.